Hi and welcome. And this webinar is called Performing with Love and Ease. And thank you guys so much for being on the call. I'm really delighted that we have guest Grayson Hart and his teammate Adam Ashe. So I'm really looking forward to spending the next hour with you. So I just want to quickly introduce both players actually. Grayson is 28 years old, he's born in New Zealand. He's been a professional rugby player for 10 seasons, playing Super Rugby in the Southern Hemisphere, as well as Pro 12 and the European Cup while living in the UK. Most recently, has represented Scotland Sevens, where he took home gold at the London leg of the World Series. Outside of rugby, he works as a coach, sharing a simple understanding of the mind that has changed his life and so many others. Grayson works with individuals, including fellow athletes, mentoring and sharing these three principles of the human experience. Alongside teammate Adam, he presents to groups, businesses, sports teams, schools, and hosts the Inside Out Revelers podcast. Grayson is thankful to have a lovely fiancée, Chelsea, by his side every day, together with their dog Ardy. And an introduction from Adam, works as a professional rugby player in Scotland and plays for Glasgow Warriors. He's 23 years old and lives in Glasgow with his partner Alicia. Since leaving school at the age of 18, Adam has been involved in professional rugby with the Scottish Rugby Union. He loves coaching and sharing the inside out understanding whenever he gets the chance. So welcome, you guys. So performing with love and ease, and I thought I'd just set the scene a little bit, because today I got a little bit of feedback actually. That must be Richard. Can I ask you to mute yourself, please? Got it. Okay, so performing with love and ease, and actually Grayson came up with that title, and I thought that was amazing. So, and what occurred to me before I sort of handed over to Grayson is that until now, like the last, say, 50 years in the development of sport, we have done so much to fine-tune our physical bodies. I mean, when you look at the sports science that there is available, there is just so much work now done on the physical body in order for it to perform well. And more recently, in terms of psychology, there's been so much work now done on the content of the human mind to change it, manipulate it, sort of upgrade it, if you like, because most sports people would see that there is a link between experience and what goes on in your mind. And so people have been really trying to understand that more and more. And there's so many mental techniques, and we've really, I think, to now done a reasonable job. But it seems that all of that falls really short, because when we start to look behind the body and its true source, and we start to look behind the mind and where thought comes from, there hasn't been very much in that direction until the three principles as uncovered by the late Sydney Banks. And this is what I really want us to explore in this webinar, is if you have an understanding or you're looking towards this understanding, what actually changes? What does that mean? And what is this love and ease in sport? I mean, we have two professional rugby players here on this call talking about performing with love and ease. I just think that's beautiful. And that's just so far from the old thinking that you have to be, really serious, and you have to be, all intentional and grim. And actually, we're seeing that that's not true. So I'm going to ask Grayson just to give us a little bit of a background into why it is he came up with the title, because I thought it was beautiful. So Grayson, do you want to unmute yourself? I'll unmute you. There you go.
There you go. Good to be here. Thank you, Denise. That was a cool intro. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. It's cool to share this with you guys and hopefully interact with you all. And Adam, good to have you here too, mate. The title, it's sort of, I don't know, it just sort of came to me. And now with your introduction, it does seem to make sense that performing with love and ease is something, it's a birthright. That's the way we're born. That is the truth within us all. And the times that we don't see it or feel that love and ease is when thinking is in the way of that. Personal thinking. That's the only time that we don't feel that true essence of love and ease. And coming to see that was a profound insight in my own life, and sort of the beginning of the unfolding of this understanding. And yeah, it's unfolded from there, and it's has made a profound impact in my life. And you know, there's not always times that things feel loving and easy. You know, there's thinking that comes through, and that's part of being a human. But the knowing, which is a knowing deep within you that we all have, that even when I'm not feeling that love and ease, that I can still show up in life and perform from that love and ease that is there, that is a constant always, no matter what my state of mind may be. And one of my mentors, Garrett Kramer, I won't quote exactly, but he wrote a little tweet or something the other day saying, state of mind is variable, and the capacity to show up and perform is constant, something along those lines. And it's so simple, but it's so true. We're human beings. Our state of mind is hugely variable, and we live in a constant ebb and flow of an invisible energy which is behind the human experience, and that is what we feel. And we're not designed to always feel like up here on top of the world, confident, supreme world beaters. Like that's not how we're designed. And knowing that is an amazing thing, because you fall away from the old sort of paradigm of there's somewhere to get to. There's a state of mind that's the best state of mind to be in, to perform, and you know, all these little techniques and strategies that I know Adam knows very well about also, and I know there's another couple of athletes and former athletes on here, yourself being one, Denise, that have at times fell into those traps of and they're innocent. Like, people aren't trying to lead people astray. It's just from misunderstanding that we believe, oh, there's somewhere to get to in terms of the mind that will help us perform. Whereas an understanding of the mind that's clear cut, that's already there, that we all already know deep within. There's just some layers of misunderstanding, varying layers amongst different human beings, on sometimes clouding that truth. So that's why people are drawn to this, because we all know it. We already have it deep within. And insightfully seeing that's enough. The rest unfolds through that wisdom, which is that truth there. And that's been profound for me. You know, I still have insecurity. I still get anxious. I still, you know, feel at times like a victim to circumstance or whatever. And then a knowing from here comes through me, and it's not like a magic switch. Like, these things that seem like an issue don't just disappear, or I don't just all of a sudden before a game or during a game feel like a superstar. I just know that the truth is love, and that's always there, and my well-being is there no matter what's going on outside, and that's profound. And the implications unfold differently for different people, but the truth is the same, that our love and well-being is a constant. And yeah,
that's lovely, Grayson. And I really just want to tease out, I mean, this is a revolutionary conversation. For years, sports people have been focused on trying to get into the optimum state of mind, and almost try also in terms of the zone space, trying to get into the zone as if it is something other than our natural state, as if it's something else. And it seems to me that what we're pointing to now is completely 180 degrees the opposite way, in terms of it's more about understanding what's going on and how it is your experience is coming into play. And such realizations are then able to help you just to show up and just to play from a natural state. So you're not trying to get into a particular state, you're just understanding how it works. And that realization is everything. That's the biggest difference I see here, is that we no longer have to apply any mental skills techniques to change the way in which our mind is at any one moment. We just have on offer here the potential to understand how it works. And when we understand how it is we function, then we're free to come from not all of this personal chatter and this personal identity and all the noise and our conditioning. We're free to come from a place of pure source. Like you say, come from that pure love inside you, that pure inspiration. And in that naturally is our capacity to be involved in life. Beautiful.
Yeah. No, definitely, yeah. I think like Adam and I, we did a little Facebook Live the other day, and one of the questions was, well, what if, I can't remember the exact question, or something along the lines of, what if people think you don't care anymore, or like things don't matter to you, or something, or what if I feel like I don't care if I look in this direction, something like that. And like you said, like, it's the opposite of that. Knowing that your well-being is not never on the line when it comes to results or outcomes or anything outside of you. That actually, without even realizing it, it opens you up to just throw yourself in to whatever's at hand. And no matter what state of mind you're in, you can just rip into whatever's at hand. And one of the phrases Adam and I like is, you throw yourself in with reckless abandon. Because you don't have these, or even if you do have personal thinking running through your head saying, oh, you need to be careful about this, or this game means this much, or you got to worry about this guy or that guy, or the coach said this or that, or I don't want to let these people, or these people are watching. Whatever thinking's running through your head, it's not real. That's not the truth. And you can show up at your absolute best and do what makes sense to you in the moment.
Yeah.
And just the knowing that the moment is its own, it's its own separate truth. Like it's not the same as what you're thinking saying. The moment is, you don't know what the moment holds.
No.
And you don't know what will come through you in the moment.
Mm.
But you can have faith that in the moment you have whatever it takes to deliver what's it need.
Mm. That's
And
lovely. Adam, would you like to join in the conversation there and kind of, I know that you guys have spoken about this title, so how does this sit for you, Adam? Share what's coming up for you right now in terms of the title, Performing with Love and Ease.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll add a little bit here myself. So I came across this work about a year ago, and previous to having the insight that I had into the relationship between thought and feeling, I guess I had certain things that I didn't want to think. You know, there were things that I just, when it came to rugby, there were, in my performance in rugby, there were things that I just didn't want to think, and it was hard work. It was hard work trying to not think those things. And to be honest with you, it was not possible. It wasn't possible to not think them. And through having this insight into the nature of thought and seeing that our feelings are coming from our thinking in the moment and not circumstance, that done something for me that cannot really be explained. You know, we're trying to explain it the best that we can, but really it's almost unexplainable. So this happened, and then it then became, it didn't matter what I was thinking. Like it just didn't grasp me as much. Whatever I was thinking, it didn't grasp me. It didn't come with the same punch. And that's what happens. Like, and that's the cool thing about this understanding, is there is absolutely no doing involved. And when there's no doing involved in it, we then have the psychological freedom, like, to know that we can show up and just play and perform wherever we're at. And the thing is that when we do that, we get less of the when we see that, we get less of the experiences that we don't want, I guess you could say. When we leave the mind to ebb and flow on its own, it does that job better than we can do it when we get involved in it. So yeah, it's been really interesting for me. Like, there's times where I play games and I train, and I'm coming from a really peaceful place, and there's times where I'm not, but I just don't care as much about it. Like, it's just like, it just doesn't seem to be a thing. Like, it doesn't seem to have any grip over me. You know, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't speak to me as much as it used to, which has been really interesting. And not only that, but a load of other real personal qualities have kind of come out in me, and certainly over I think the last sort of 3 or 4 months, in terms of leadership within the team, and you know, it's been amazing, because I think, you know, I said to Grayson before that I think I've grown more as a person in the last year than I have over the last, you know, for many years. You could probably strip it back to like 5 or 6 years, but it's and that's really the amazing thing about this, is that it really does something for you when you get the fundamental elements of it, the true elements in place. It really does something for people. In performance, and, you know, away from that as well. So yeah, it's really it's a cool title to talk to, because in some ways it is it happens, and sometimes it doesn't, but it's okay regardless, you know.
Yeah I love I think one of the things that I saw along the way was, okay, so what is it that I saw that helped me to be less interested, or if you like, less involved in my personal chatter, in the want to be, the desires to be, and all of those distracting thoughts of the personal identity. And it was, I thought, well, okay, so it's really about this personal identity. And I realized, well, that's the changeful, that's the thing that's changing all the time. And I started to see my belief systems. I started to see that, oh, I get it. So I want to be the best national coach that I can be, but that doesn't define me. That doesn't define all those thoughts about needing to prove myself or seeking approval. I suddenly saw that, no, I'm perfect and whole as a human being. And we are all fueled by the same oneness, the same energy of all things, this divine intelligence. And that I, as a separate individual expressing that divine intelligence, doesn't need to do anything more than just be. Like, we're human beings, not human provings. And I started to see that when I look in that direction, I am free to perform. Whereas when there was Denise in there and the ideas I have of myself and my needing to, and my wanting and my desires, that would be distracting. And I would be buying into it. And I think this is the difference for me now in my seeing, is that when I get those thoughts now, I can have them, but I can still perform. Was when I first saw it, I wasn't able to. That they'd come and I would have a sense of, oh, hang on a minute, I know they're not me, but I would still be fairly invested in them. I would still be, they'd be quite attractive, they'd seduce me a little bit more. And then I started to see through the entire personality thing, the entire concept of character. And I started to see, oh my goodness, I am making up every single idea of who and what I am as a woman, as a mother, as a parent, as a sister. Every role I've got on, I make it up. And it was really, really cool to see that they were just like costumes that I would put on. And now I can put on the costume and have some great fun in there. But that doesn't define me as a human being. So I can have fun playing this game of life and these games in each of these roles. But I'm not invested in anything that my personal mind is kind of thinking that's what's going on. I'm not invested. I'm just having fun with it. And I can still perform, and it's just different. I can still show up, if you like, without my mind. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's cool.
It's been funny. I totally get that. Like thoughts that used to like rule me, or like, again, like I said, like thoughts that I didn't want to have. Like, I have those thoughts now, and they just don't have that same thing that came with it. Like they're not attached. They don't come with the attachment. And it still amazes me to this day how like that, like human beings can go through that change without doing anything, like literally without doing anything. It's amazing. It really is. It's been such a cool thing to happen.
Isn't it?
I'll speak about Cena's. I know Denise, like, this is something you share in sports. I'll use an example of sort of before and after, like before seeing this and after for me. before I used to, like, it seems so real that my sort of value as a human being came from being a professional rugby player. And that's an innocent misunderstanding that's commonly shared in humanity, that our circumstances outside of us are what we feel, you know, whether it be job, relationship, bank balance, you know, all sorts. And I fell for that big time. And looking back at that misunderstanding had so many side effects on how I carried myself and how I went about my work. And, you know, I took things personally. So if I didn't get selected, I'd be reactive and I'd take it personally, or get really down on myself. Or there'd be times, even if things were going really well, I'd start to have a lot of fear around, oh, what if I lose this opportunity? Oh, I'll be nothing without this, or all sorts of stories going on. None of them were true, but it really seemed so real, because I was truly caught in the illusion that my feelings and well-being were dictated by things outside of me, in this case rugby. And you know, looking back, I think I trained way too hard. You know, I was in that grinding it mentality, and my you know, my body was worn out at times, and I just kept going, and I sort of fell for a lot of these you know, sort of self-help guru and pointing to how this athlete did it, and this is what you need to do to reach success, and trying to follow models of other concepts that weren't true to me. And it was just a lot of grinding and struggle, and just when things weren't going how I had in this little concept in my head of how they should be, I'd get really down on myself, you know, and I'd look other ways outside of me to make myself feel good, because I was caught in that complete illusion. And then it's amazing now, like, from coming to see the truth of where our human experience is coming from, never ever from outside, never rugby, never any circumstance outside of me. It's unlocked a passion and a love that's always been there, that was always there, but it's allowed it to shine through me, and to come from that space more often in whatever I'm doing, and just know that this, like rugby, yeah, I love it, but it doesn't define or dictate, or it never is the cause of any well-being or value. And that knowing has been amazing for me. You know, it allows me to show up and just enjoy and love like what I'm doing every day, without you know, these little stories around, oh, what if you lose this, or you better get picked this week because otherwise you're going to feel like shit, or, you know, all these little made up things that come with the outside in misunderstanding. And you know, I rip into my training and I enjoy it, but I'm not stupid and reckless, and I'm not grinding. And if my body's not feeling right, I'll listen to my body, you know, and rather than put that on the back burner, you know, that wisdom comes through. Like, we can't help that, but when you're so caught up in your intellect, you can easily push it aside, you know. So there was a lot of times where wisdom would come through and say, oh, you need a rest, man, or you need to do this or that. And then the intellect, the grinding, the concepts that I'd ingrained and were sort of cluttering that wisdom would be like, no, you got to grind, you got to keep at it, rah-de-rah. This is the way to success. This is what this person or that person said. And coming to see the truth, all of that, it's fallen away, you know, and there's so much more love for what I'm doing. And I don't know where it's going, And I no longer have this little concept of where it has to go in order to be a success, because it never works that way. And whatever's unfolding is unfolding through us, you know. We can just be open to that. And
I think Grayson has frozen there a little bit. Oh wait, let's see if he comes back. Adam, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Yeah. I think when I heard in there, this you back, Grayson?
yeah, I'm back.
You're back. Did you want to just finish that?
I don't know where I got sort of.
It was the openness. I just think I'll just say what I was going to say. The whole thing of consciousness is really just speaking to me right now. And what I see, I've got this funny image actually, and I see that it's like a funnel. Like consciousness for me is like a funnel. And the other day I was just doing the kitchen drawers out, and I could see all different sizes of these funnels that we use for baking. And there was this, there was a bigger funnel with a reasonable size for everything to go through, and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller, and there's these funnels with tiny little gaps for things to go through, for ingredients to go through, and then there are funnels like this with quite big gaps for the ingredients to go through. And I suddenly thought, oh my gosh, that's like consciousness. That's like if we fill it up with thoughts about how it doesn't work, i.e. that circumstance and situation causes our experience. The funnel of consciousness is so narrow, but even so, wisdom still gets through, like it still gets through, and thoughts do settle. But the more we look in this direction, it seems like we're operating from a much bigger funnel, that we have much more wisdom coming through at any one time. And that for me is kind of speaks to this expansion of consciousness, that there is just so much more available to us, like you're plugging in the mains to the source of all life. And more of that is able to come through and show us the way in that moment. And that's what I kind of heard you saying there, Grayson, is that when you're open to it, you can kind of almost align. And I know these are just words, because actually truth is just here, just here. And we're just using words to describe this feeling of life and it unfolding in this moment. And you can almost feel it. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I don't know where I was going with that, but that was lovely. I'm wondering if we have any questions, because I know we've got some beautiful comments on the side here. Great, guys. So, and some lovely sharing. So I don't know if you've got any questions for Adam or for Grayson, and or you just want to share yourself. So just put your hand up or just unmute yourself if you want to get involved in the conversation. Anyone? Just want to open it up. Sean. Okay. There you go, Sean.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was just while you were talking, I'm involved in kind of coach education, if you like, at a university level, and we get a lot of students who come in who are hoping to become coaches. And it was interesting when you were talking before about the idea of people think they've got to sort of be a certain way or behave or coach or perform in a certain way to fit in with, I don't know, like a game plan or an expectation and so on. And the thing that struck me was stuff that we probably don't do so much now, but used to do in the past, and is still in textbooks everywhere, is this idea of the coach being sort of autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire. These labels of these are the pigeonholes that coaches will kind of go into, and that's the and a lot of the kids I see sort of coming through who are looking to get involved in coaching are always trying to attach themselves to one of these labels.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest changes I've seen, certainly, seen probably more as evolved, similar to what kind of Adam and Grayson are saying, is that what I try and encourage them to do, and some of the best examples of stuff that they produce, is when I just say to them, look, well, here's a situation. How would you deal with it? How would you do? I'm not expecting a textbook answer. I don't want that because there almost isn't one. Because how I might coach or how I might approach a certain situation with a certain group of athletes would be completely different to what one of me colleagues would do, to what sort of 5 different students would do, and actually that's okay, because that just means that we're connecting with the athletes and with the people at that point in time on different levels, based upon sort of where our thinking is at that point in time. And this idea of there having to be a certain, I mean, you see it in sport all the time, don't you, where one particular team or one particular system seems to work, and then everybody wants to do it.
Yeah,
because that's the one that works, and that's we can do it this way, or we'll use this system, or we'll use these particular plays. And actually, it's probably just something that happened in a particular game or a particular just came out of nowhere. But people think there's something to it, and it's some kind of evolved thing that can be replicated, rather than just sort of accepting who they are as a team, as players and as coaches, and kind of running with that,
And that's just one of the things. I just think that certainly for me, when I was coaching as the national coach for Scotland, one of the things I saw early on, and I don't know where it came from, but I did see that we would need to play in Scotland the way we played, and that we weren't looking to be the same type of team as Ireland or Wales. We just needed to play our game, and I saw it very clearly that we're all human beings trying to play the same sport, and that what really separates us, actually, yes, there's going to be physicality, yes, there's going to be techniques, but actually, if we can just and I didn't really see this then at all. I was very much caught up in trying to control, manage, change the thinking. But now I see that when we play with very little interest, if you like, about the content of what's going on in our mind, it's almost like you can just see it coming and going, and it's no big deal. We're not actually invested in it at all. Then we're free to play whatever comes through us, and that can be an amazing style. It can be your unique style, which it obviously is, because it's just coming through all of those bodies at that time. And when that happens to teams, people just notice, like, it's like, wow, look at those. And then they look for the thing they think that it is, and then they try and copy it. I know, Grayson, we spoke about this, didn't we? And Adam, we had a great conversation about this on the podcast.
I really like what you said there, Sean. And man, if I could sit every sporting coach down and just say, like, if there's one thing I could say to you guys, it would be just be yourself. Like, just be you. Yeah. You don't have to be a particular way. You don't have to be the boss, and it's not your job to control people or control the team's state of mind or create a culture. Be you, coach from your truth, your love, and through that, your players are going to connect with you and buy into that collectively. And from that space, that's where the players are they're going to feel free. Their best is going to come through. When players are trying to constantly fit into a way that they've been told they have to be, or this is the way this team is, that's clutter.
Mm-hmm.
That's not freedom. That's not where freedom comes from trying to be a particular way. And that clutter can get in the way of what the coach is trying to achieve by trying to be the boss, you know, and it's innocent. Like, I'm not saying these coaches are assholes. They all want to do well, and they are passionate and love what they're doing. But it's the same thing. Like, they're, I guess, at times worry or illusioning over outcomes is their own stumbling block, and they put that onto players, and that's where that control, and it doesn't work that way. It's like school teachers. It's the same thing, you know. Look at troubled kids in school. The school teachers they connect with, and they show up in class and actually deliver on, are the teachers who connect with that student as just a fellow human being.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of misunderstanding in coaching that you got to be the boss and lay the law down, and people are going to buy into what you do when you're authentic and true, and it's from the heart. And they're not going to do it by choosing or having to shift their mind. It's just going to happen naturally from their freedom. And that's where cohesion and high levels of consciousness collectively come through.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That unity that we see in teams when everyone is just in flow, just letting it come through. I love that, Grayson. Well done, that cohesion.
And I'll just touch on something quickly because there might be people that say, "Oh, well, what? Like, so you're just going to be a softie and rah-de-rah."
Yeah, I was going to ask that question.
From this authenticity, your wisdom will come through. It'll make sense if you need to sit down and speak with a player and maybe give them a few, a stern couple words or whatever. It will come through as it will just make sense to do. It's not like, I got to be the boss. What do I need to say here? Yeah, I need to sit this guy down and bloody rip into him, or I need to make an example of this guy because that's not, you know, these sort of things. What makes sense will come through you. And yeah, there might be times where you got to be stern and hard, and that's okay. That's part of being a coach too.
Yeah, that makes sense in terms of that authenticity of who they are and the fluidity that, if you like, that they allow themselves to have, because you can see when people are trying to be a type of coach that actually doesn't match up with their own values, and you can almost feel that resistance. It's the analogy I use with the students. It's like two magnets. You know, when you get the same poles on a magnet, you try and push them together, and they won't go, and they keep repelling and moving off. And I said, that's what you're doing. It's you're trying to force something to happen just because you think that's the way you need to be, and actually it's not working. And the athletes pick up on that, and the players pick up on that, you know, because again, they're part of the same system. They're feeding off the same energy, and you almost have to go with the, you know, it's kind of going with your gut instinct, like you were saying there, Grayson. That you know there's times, and you might be able to pick up, and you know that you might need to necessarily pull a player up for something, but actually now might not be the time. and you kind of log it and think, right, well, I'll do that when it feels more appropriate, rather than either balling them out in front of teammates or what have you. And I think a lot of coaches see that as being, oh, well, that's experience. The more I do that, and the more it will kind of come. But actually, it's common sense, isn't it? And I think the clue's in the word, isn't it? Common sense. So it's common to everyone.
Yeah.
We tap into.
I mean, we can speak about, we're speaking about coaches here because obviously this is a sporting thing, but I mean, this is just human beings in general, like we all have these concepts and ideas of how we need to be, or what we need to do and how we need to act. And the more every single human being looks in this direction, whether it be just human beings look in this direction, the byproducts are unbelievable, whether it's what we've just spoken about there, but in relationships, because that same misunderstanding can fall into relationships. Oh, I need to be a particular way or act this way, and with children, I don't have kids, but I've witnessed it before, and bosses and business and all sorts, concepts around how we need to be, getting in the way of what is your authentic truth, and coming from that place and letting wisdom show up. And through that wisdom, that's common sense. You're going to do what makes sense to do, which is, when it's coming from wisdom, 100% of the time it's going to be the right thing to do.
Yeah, that is really interesting because, since looking in this direction and having this insight, I'm a lot more comfortable with just saying no, and it's really obvious now. So I guess, in some respect, I think people can think that when we say this stuff, it's just all nicey nice. It's not. It's not. It's simply, like you say, it's common sense. And to be quite frank, I'm a lot more comfortable now with sitting down with someone, and if we've got a disagreement, then we've got a disagreement. That's fine. Whereas before, I wasn't really comfortable with that, and that's an important point to cover because that's important.
I just going back to what Sean was saying, I just think it just reminded me of a time where, because I was so hooked up in a performance behavioral model, right? So I would be, as a coach, looking for particular behaviors, and then I would be aligning them to the way in which I thought the game should be played, athletes should be behaving, are they fitting into the code of conduct? Are these the rules of engagement that we've all agreed on? It was all behavioral based. And now I can see how the elite training environment would completely change when, as coaches, we have an understanding that behavior is the byproduct of their feeling, which is coming from their thinking in the moment. And that it's a self-contained unit, and it has nothing to do with the outside, and it certainly doesn't have anything to do with the expectations of the session. And so I can remember making a national selection decision and deselecting a national athlete together with my other selectors based on behavior and based on this so-called fixed and growth mindset that she was never going to change. And I didn't see it. I didn't see it as a state of mind issue. I saw it as a person issue. I saw it as an athlete issue. And she was incredibly talented, but I couldn't reach her. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have this understanding to see, oh no, she's just behaving from a low state of mind, which she's seeing as real. And that's really scary for her. So for coaches, this is incredibly helpful in that, because you get to keep some of those athletes that are incredibly talented. and I'm, I feel now, I probably made a big mistake in my national career because of that misunderstanding. And that for me is massive in the world of sports coaching, to move away from a performance behavioral based model to a model which is really looking towards understanding how the mind works, but understanding who and what we are as human beings. And that, as Grayson and Madam have beautifully said, that if we show up in any moment, presence, in that space of pure presence, with nothing else going on, there is an internal guidance system. You know, babies do grow. We do grow up. We do expand. We do evolve as human beings. And it's not on us. Yet we think it is. Somehow we think it is. And it's just not based on truth. It's based on the illusion of what Sid said, what isn't. It's the changeful. And yet what is true is what's unchanging. It's constant. It's always here. And it's been here before we were here, and it will be here when we are not here. It's always here. And there's so much intelligence in that, and we're missing it. Until now, of course.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's lovely. Katrine, would you
Also-
like to go on?
Oh, sorry. No. Go for it, Katrine.
Katrine, would you like to add some to chip in? Because I know that you're a former national soccer player yourself.
Yeah, I could add something that's very fresh for me.
Yeah.
It's not about soccer, but it's about running. Because I played soccer on Thursday, I think, and I had an injury. I had some pain in my hips after the game, and it really hurt. And it was so much pain when I was sitting down and in the couch and should try to go up from the couch, and when I was driving the car and sitting in the car it was not that good. And when I sleep in the night, there was so much pain when I was trying to roll over like that. But yesterday I also had this pain, but I went out for running with a friend of mine, and when I was running, I didn't have that pain at all. And that was very strange for me, because it was so hurting when I was sitting and walking and tried to pick up something from the floor and things like that. But when I was running, I could run for more than 1 hour without any pain at all. So what came to me was that I didn't have a lot of thinking when I was running. I was just in that space you're talking about, talking with my friend and just moving gently. So it's amazing what's in that space you're talking about, when we don't have this personal thinking at all. The pain also can not be in our consciousness or be any problem for us. So
That's beautiful. That's powerful.
I think so. So and my hips are better today, and I run today too, and they're just better and better. So there's so much hope there for what we can do with our body, or our physical body. Even I can run even if I have an injury, and it can recover when I'm running and walking. It's amazing.
Wow.
So
That's lovely, Katrine. Thank you so much for sharing. That's very powerful. Wow. So we've hit the top of the hour. We've just got, has anybody got anything else they want to kind of add to the conversation or ask Grayson and Adam? No? Okay. Wow. That has been, that's just been an amazing, a lovely, lovely chat, I have to say, guys. Have you got anything else to close, Grayson?
No, just thank you. Thank you guys for all coming in. Something that is, I guess, in these sort of situations, and when we're out sharing this with groups, like we all already know this, you know, and it's like this has been a collective thing, all of us pointing to a truth, and we're trying to use words to point to a truth that's invisible, that's there, and just knowing that it's already there. It's already there. Like we have it. Our well-being, our love, our freedom, our peace of mind it's there. It's part of our design, and that's powerful. And just looking in this direction, curiously, of the truth of where our experience is coming from, moment to moment. It's that simple. Conversations like this, looking in the direction of this type of work, where, you know, the books and the recordings and stuff are pointing to an invisible truth that we all share as human beings, and insightfully seeing that is what unlocks that within you, or just allows the misunderstanding to fall away and that truth to shine through. And yeah, the byproducts of that truth are profound. And you know, Adam and I, and we didn't know that we'd be on webinars or out sharing to groups and businesses and stuff, but that's another part of that intelligence behind the design. You know, that's what's unfolding, and we're just happy to be a part of that and show up. And so it's been cool to be here.
Thank you guys. It's been a lovely conversation, and I've really enjoyed it, and thanks for the questions, and thank you, Denise, for having us on here to speak. I know I wasn't really originally planned to be on here, but here we are. It's all unfolded a little bit differently than we thought.
Absolutely. No, it has. And it's just trusting, isn't it, guys? It's just trusting that we are, that that life just is, and that we can just be in any moment, and that we'll have everything we need to be in that moment. And I love it. I love all words come out like synchronicity and harmony, and because you know, I struggle sometimes to find the words to describe this beautiful feeling of life. And love is probably the best word. You know, we come into the world the same way, we leave the same way in terms of our earthly life inside these bodies. And that unites us as human beings. When we see we are all the same, and therefore we can perform from that source, that space, in every moment. And that may sometimes look prettier than others, but that's all that's going on.
Yeah. And you can miss the winning shot, or you can muck something up, but life goes on.
That's
not
all
all meant to
be.
It's not all like up here.
No.
These parts are just as much a part of the experience, and
absolutely.
And knowing that is profound.
Yeah. And just to close, one of the things I kind of learned on my menteeship with the Pranskis is that because we have a glimpse of this understanding, it doesn't make us the experience police. Like, we don't get to choose what experiences we have. Where, oh yes, I'm going to go for all the great ones, right? Because if we could, we would. We would. Like, no. it's not about choosing our experiences or going after the good ones. It's just simply about seeing how experience is made, how it comes into being. And by seeing the mechanism behind experience, and that you're not that, your truth is not that, because you can see it. And if you can see it, you can't be it. You're the perceiver of it. You can get behind the lens. And when you're behind the lens, you can just, see your experiences, appreciate every single one of them, no matter what they look like. And that for me is so rich, because we're not chasing the good ones and trying to get away from the bad ones. You just settle into life and everything that it has to offer.
Denise, I have to tell something.
Go for it, Michael.
Yeah. So it reminds me the story from today. I had a session with one football player, and I was telling him, "You are not your thoughts, because when you are your thoughts, you don't know what you are thinking about." And he was just sitting here and said, "What?" So I repeated one more time, and he was just cross-eyed, and said, "Okay, I understand now." But at first he was looking like at me like, "Oh my God, what you are talking about?"
Oh, bless.
It was quite funny,
That's funny. And he saw something. He saw something, Michael, when you.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you so much, guys. So I completely agree with everything what you have said, and when you see the sparks in the eyes, it's obvious that we know what the truth is. So
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank
Michael.
you. Well, I'll just say big thank you to Grayson and Adam, and big thank you to all of you for being on the call. And, I'm holding these periodically. I'm not sure if I'll hold them through the summer, but we'll see what shows up. There's lots of great things happening right now. And what I love is that not all of my work is now in sport. So it seems to be more in relationship, in family, in business. It just seems to be going wherever it wants to go. And I'm cool with that. So I will let you know when the next one of these webinars is. It's just an hour long. I know we've run over a little bit here, so thank you so much for your additional time.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Good day. Bye.
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 Later. Ta-da.